Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There has been lots of talk about master modes and Star Citizen's new flight and combat mechanics, and they've been testing these for a while now. CIG, they've brought them into the 3.23 live build as well, so there's a lot of eyes on this, and a lot of people not happy with master modes. Some people are. We're also talking about, when we say master modes, we're talking about combat changes, we're talking about flight model changes, we're talking about a whole host of stuff, including weapon balance and all this sort of jazz. Now, we know a lot of this is evolving for 4.0 with the addition of engineering and stuff like that. That necessitates some more major overhauls. However, YogiKlatt from CIG, CIG's or Star Citizen's principal vehicle programmer, recently answered a load of questions across many mediums, Spectrum and some on sort of stream and live chats and stuff like that. And there's a lot that YogiKlatt talked about, and it caused a little bit of community concern, and also it made a lot of the community relatively happy with his candid responses. But he went into more detail after talking about some bits and bobs and the sort of importance of 4.0 and his focus at the moment. And then, well, let's just talk about it. Let's jump into what YogiKlatt said. So, he was questioned by lots of different people, and one of the questions that he answered was, what's the reasoning of why we have oversteer or non-infinite rotational acceleration? He responded, I'd say because you're flying ships, not debug cameras. Without jerk, the ship rotations do not feel as nice as you want them, but in general, we will not instantly stop the rotations because you let go of the controls. Also, rotation accelerations on the Gladius are the same, they just take longer. We slightly bumped up the rotation speeds. We have jerk on the to-do list, and I think we'll probably cut down the rotation speeds anyway, so we'll evaluate them then. Another user then questioned, if the goal is to create good positional combat, you typically want ships with higher angular velocity, not lower. Right now, the Gladius and Arrow can actually crank the combat radius down pretty well if both players are pushing, but the other archetypes just end up jousting in a large radius due to their lack of angular velocity. The only reason you would decrease angular velocity is if the ships have no ability to maintain a short combat distance. Yogi responded, it's not just about that. The combat gameplay is currently faster than I want it to be, so once I have some of the internally discussed changes, we'll see what we'll do with the tuning. Another follow-up was fast as in time to kill, or fast as in pace of the fight. Yogi responded, pace of the fight I find too fast, time to kill I find too long. Many posters then shared examples of low times to kill that exist in game now, and a bit of disparity between what he was saying. Yogi responded, that's not typical, we have loads of fights that don't look like that. Just saying that actually the higher times to kill for certain dogfighting happens, and there's a bit of disparity here. Someone then responded, most of my fights feel like that, especially with cannons. Been doing private duels with repeaters, and they feel so much more fun and fair. Yogi responded, yeah, tuning is not on point. I think it is better than 3.22's, but it's a placeholder anyway. We've got proper tuning for 4.0. There will be some changes to 3.23.2, but also remember that that's just a placeholder until 4.0. Yogi was asked if he could jump into Arena Commander and show how some of the design directions were chosen, how flight looks to him, and sort of explain some bits. Yogi said, no, I'm really not interested in the current game. This is sort of the thing that caused a lot of contention or a lot of controversy, should we say, at the time. And he continued, as I said, 3.23 is just prepping stuff for 4.0, and there are bigger things on the way. I still stand by what I said in relation to pacing. There is an imbalance in the times to kill, and the game does not feel how we want it to feel yet. And I do think that this is due to the pacing. If I would need to describe it, I'd say I want to see more fighting but less hitting before one pops, if that makes sense. Another user posted in regard to times to kill being too long, saying, dude, what game does CIG have that we don't? I get you don't want to talk about it, but you can 2 or 3 shot people in this game. If that is a long time to kill, I can't wait until you make it where I can one-shot everyone. Yogi responded, when I say imbalance in time to kill, I mean that there are a lot of ships that don't feel right. The Buccaneer and Cutlass, I feel that they can be too tanky at times. May that be due to issues with the setup or simply numbers. Some ships take too long to die under consistent fire. That does not mean that this is true of all ships, but I still find the pacing too fast at times. He was then sort of questioned about upcoming fixes and tuning, and he gave a bit of a response here. I do not do flight tuning. That is the job of the vehicle experience team. I keep track of the overall combat and the flight experience, but I'm not doing the day-to-day work on that. And if the team decided to go for 3.23.2, then they made the decision for a reason, and I trust them. And yeah, you're going to see maybe a bit more in 3.23.2 when it comes to some updates, but 4.8 is way bigger, and they'd rather focus on that. There was another question. Is positional combat being looked at as well? Is the goal for fighters to be wrestling for position and low time to kill applies only if someone actually gains position? Yogi responded, that's space combat in general. Short answer is yes. There was a follow-up. Current combat is very nose to nose, which is why I asked. Not very positional at all. Glad that positional is the goal though. And Yogi responded, that's why we discuss egg shapes, jerk, etc. So all of that information got sort of compiled and posted up, and people were discussing it. And then YogiKlatt actually responded to the thread with a load more details and statements and responses to some of this critique. So I'll read you what he said and what he was responding to. Yogi's statement about everything in 3.23 being a placeholder is completely different from what I've heard. Like 4.0 is the main balance and everything else is a placeholder. Yogi said, no, not everything. Only the current weapon tuning is a placeholder, and I have mentioned that in the official comm channels before. The current weapon and item tuning needs to be overhauled because it is not compatible with the upcoming resource network and engineering gameplay. In that regard, certain aspects of 3.23 are a one-way road because 4.0 will change them anyway, but that does not account to all aspects of flight and combat. Another response here. So all 3.23 master modes combat backer feedback is useless as we now are giving feedback to an already obsolete version. He responded here, no, that is not what that means. While my personal focus is on 4.0 or 4.1, it's good we know that it's already working on 4.1, there's still a bunch of stuff coming to the future of 3.23 and patches that include much wanted ship tuning fixes and some weapon changes. It does not mean that feedback is obsolete. In general, we usually don't do things from scratch. Even the flight experience in 3.23 was not drastically new. It was an iteration of previous models, but we still haven't hit the mark we wanted to hit, so we will keep iterating as we go. We've got lots of good feedback over the last few weeks and months, and it's absolutely affected the work on flight and combat beyond 3.23. Another point he wanted to respond to was, but here Yogi is effectively saying he doesn't care about any balancing and changes to master modes. So he responds here, so that is on me. I should have worded that way more carefully, knowing that it could get misquoted. Of course I care about the current game. This was more aimed at the current tuning state of weapons, which, as I said before, will get changed in 4.0 in spite of some adjustments in future 3.23 patches. And the fact that my focus is not on 3.23 anymore, that's what I meant. Please do not read anything more into it. So I just thought that was really interesting and sort of worth talking about. Obviously, big changes coming with 4.0 because of engineering. There's a lot of focus on the flight experience for that as well. So expect updates to master modes, expect updates to balance and all that sort of jazz. But there is a little bit on the way that's coming with 3.23.2 and potentially any other patches that we have before 4.0. And that's going to help balance the game and make it more fun, hopefully, and evolve those master modes into something a bit more interesting. And I'm really interested to know what you think. Are you having a great time in 3.23.1a at time of recording? Is that good fun for you? Are you having a terrible time? What do you think of master modes? What do you think of the flight model and the direction of combat and all the gunnery and combat changes? Do you like where they're going? Do you hate it? What would you change? What do you think needs to change? Please tell me in the comments below. It would really, really help because I like the interactions and it gives me ideas for videos. Also, something you could do to help if you wish. Tobii Eye Tracker is on sale at the moment. If you want some high fidelity, high precision, sort of eye and head tracking natively supported by Star Citizen, then check out Tobii Eye Tracker. Links down below. And also, links down below for nordvpn.com/BoredGamer, the best darn VPN that I've ever advertised in my new house. I'm in my new house today. That's why the audio might be a little echoey. Sin had a massive go at me earlier. Not a massive go. As big a go as she would have at me about my audio being terrible. So I've re-recorded this video with slightly better audio. So I hope you appreciate that. Thank you very much for listening. You take care. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for June we are giving away a Freelancer Miss, which is a fantastic little multi-crew missile boat. We're also bundling this with a Pulse, the little tiny bike with the big laser on it. You'll get lifetime insurance on both of those and a Star Citizen game package. So all you need to play Star Citizen, all you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during June. Good luck to you. Also, if you want to further support the channel, please consider clicking the join button under my videos. It really does help. There's also Patreon on loads of affiliate links and stuff like that down below in the video description and in the comments, so check those out, and that helps the channel out too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great June. Thank you for watching to the end, and don't forget to click all the things down below, or at least the things you want to click on.